Recently, I asked you lot to make me some terrain out of trash, and you did not disappoint, did you, you juicy little buggers? Welcome back to Lizard of Doom. I am Max, and this is the Trash to Terrain competition. If you haven't seen one of these videos before on the channel, there are prizes for this competition and people enter through my Discord. Prizes for this competition were £100 of my own beginner-friendly terrain that I laser cut and designed myself, and one set of brushes from Chronicle Cards. They're the people who bring you the wolf bristle brushes. A big old set of really nice brushes with some lovely wooden handles. Very nice quality, very rugged, and I've been using them a lot recently. They also have other sets of brushes on the website that you can choose from, so the winner of this competition will be able to choose which set of brushes they want. So thank you to Chronicle Cards. I'll put the link to their website down below in the description, and you can check out their brushes too and other bits and bobs that they offer. So this is how the format of this video is going to go. First of all, you're going to see me make my entry, because in these videos I tend to compete against other content creators, but we'll get round to that in a minute, because this has become a 1v1. But we'll get into that at the end. For now, I want to use this project because the challenge for this one I launched in a video on this channel was to make terrain for completely free. Trash to terrain, no money spent on this build at all. So I'm going to use this as kind of a proof of concept for something I want to do in the future that I'm going to spend money on. And that may be linked to some lovely pirates I painted recently, and then was thinking of what to do with them because I didn't really enjoy the game that they were for. So the ironclad for the Caradron Overlords is something I'm going to be prototyping a little bit in this video for free out of cardboard and using it to make my terrain. How am I going to do that? Well, for free, I found a file on Cult 3D, which is a laser cut model ship. And that is for kind of the shipbuilding and modeling hobby, but it is the perfect scale. Slight little bit of stretching, and it is nearly exactly the same length as the ironclad. I couldn't ask for more. So I laser cut this out of a piece of packaging from my PC monitor. This is just a scrap bit of cardboard I've had hanging around for a while, so I might as well use it for a project like this. But I had problems. Unfortunately, it didn't come with instructions, so I built it wrong. But also, this card was too thick. It was not meant to be built like this. This section was completely sideways, and it was meant to be built like that. But then it made it too tall to put the deck in properly, and I had another problem. Where this card was so thick, it wouldn't go together. It was too thick for the grooves in it. Now I could spend loads of time trying to fix this and editing every single little groove, or I could cut it out of thinner card. So what do you think I did? The thinner card worked much, much better. This was the exact same scale of the design, the same scale as an ironclad Archanaut thingy mabob from the Caradron Overlords, and this time it was cut out of an old shoebox. This was much better thickness of card, and it worked very, very well. Here it is, made completely and coated in PVA glue just to seal it in and make sure it's not as absorbent for when I do the next step. Because you see all of these ridges and cardboard texture, that wasn't going to cut it. This filler I bought ages ago for filling little screw holes in walls and stuff that's just been sitting in my shed for a while was going to be what I'd used to fill this in. I'm counting this as free because it's been sat there for years. I bought it years ago and I haven't paid for it for this project. So yeah, that's free. That's free. I filled every little bit of cardboard texture I could, and I knew this wouldn't smooth out perfectly and wouldn't be perfect on this miniature, but if I'm making something that's old and battered, as making trash into terrain kind of leans into, then this will be fine. While that dried, I moved on to the actual dock for this thing. This will be made out of a large block of insulation cut from my neighbour's attic. Don't worry, this was spare when he did his loft conversion. I didn't just break in and steal this piece here, but I would need to cut a shape out of the middle that this thing would dock into. Luckily, I had the offcuts, so I could judge size whilst that ship dried. The way I do this is just peel this foil layer off as much as I could for now to make it easier to cut through, and then get a pair of scissors out. Chopping at different angles and kind of randomly, just to carve a shape out, would leave a nice rocky texture in this block, and also be hella easy and quick to do. I'm all about that. Make things as easy for you as possible. This stuff was really dusty and messy though, so if you work with this stuff in the future, definitely wear a mask. I had the Hoover on hand as I was working to suck up the dust when it needed to and suck up the bits of scrap until I carved out something like this. When this was done, I also gave this a coat of PVA glue because that would seal the dust in and make it paintable. This needed to be done, otherwise the paint would absorb straight into the foam, it would not go well, and it would not be good on my lungs. Next, the colour: Death Guard green, Mechanicus grey, and white bone rattle cans. These were going to be how I would give it the basic mossy, naturey rock colours. It was a little bit light at the moment, but you can really see those textures now. And that is just random hacking with a pair of scissors. Nothing fancy, but it looks good, don't you think? I might be using this a little bit more often on the channel. I have a big bin bag full of this stuff. So yeah, this may become a recurring theme. Next, I use some Body Shop primer on the now sanded down boat. You can see the texture is a bit iffy and big cracks where it dried funny because the polyfiller is old. But overall, if this is going to be a rusted, old, abandoned, floating ship in the middle of, a naturey area, I don't think that's going to do any harm having it a bit jank. I think that's going to do it good. Next, I stole these from the kitchen. They are bamboo skewers for food, and they're going to be very useful in this situation. I also acquired these from my 1-year-old niece, kindly donated by my sister, her mother, not just stolen. And I attached the sticks with a little bit of glue and just ramming them into the cardboard ship, cut holes in these balls from my niece's ball pit, and attached them on. Easy floating gas tanks, kind of in the style of the ironclad from the Caradron Overlord thing. Now this little toy was a rattle, and I would also attach it to the back of the top pod. This would just extend that pod and make it look a little bit less like just a ball, and like there were multiple tanks. Maybe there's some kind of science behind this weird floating ship. I was hoping that just pressing it in like this and holding it a bit would be enough to keep it there, but you can see here that ball is fighting back and pushing it back out. So I did end up cutting a hole to glue it into, but you can still see a bit of the badly cut hole underneath. I also attached some sticks at the back here, some of the skewers, to attach it into the rock formation when I was done. Talking of the rock formation, some Etonian camo shade just kind of stippled on with an old makeup brush. This would give it a more mossy and natural appearance. I'd rub it off the top areas with a wet finger, just making it look random, splodgy, naturific, not like it was a perfectly smooth rattle-canned rock. While this was drying, I measured up a platform for the top out of cardboard. Quick sneak peek at what may be coming soon on the channel. What box is this from? But the box itself would become an iron platform on top of this rock, somewhere where the inhabitants of the ship would dock it and then dismount. I used some sepia tone over the areas like I did with the camo shade, and then I mixed a wash of chocolate brown from Vallejo and just splodged it around. This would give everything a kind of nice earthen tone. This was a very thin wash I'd made. It would just bring out all the little crevices and make it not look so smooth and white and grey. I've also used some dried wet wipes dipped in PVA glue as rags over the top of the floating orbs. This was to make it look even more abandoned, like once it had a cover on it or something, but now that cover had rotted away over the years. I primed it again with the same black primer, and now we are ready to get some paint on this while the rock dried. First paint on this, I'm not going to do much on this to be honest, I'm going to keep it nice and simple, was a red bottom. I felt that looked shippy, that if I gave it a red bottom it'd look like an old iron tanker, and that's pretty much all the painting I'm going to do on this. I'm going to rattle can it on after masking off the area, and then we'll be doing rust effects over the whole thing very quickly and very easily. I'm keeping it nice and relaxed for this project, not stressing myself out, and taking it easy, doing easy steps rather than going ham on everything I do and making it take forever. Once I had masked off the entire area, it was time to rattle can its bottom red. And there we go, quite easy, quite simple, looking a bit battered, but like I said earlier, that's not really going to matter, it's an abandoned ship. Now I had my dirty rock, it was time to put some black spray painted skewers into it, along with the now black card I had for iron platforms to make the dock. This was going to be very simply done, this was just going to be an iron platform. The idea is that I could also put scatter terrain on top of this if needed. I glued in the back piece, probably a mistake that I would realise later, before deciding where the front pieces needed to go. I roughly eyeballed where the frame would need to go and put glue on the end of one of these sticks and pressed it into the foam. I then repeated the process to have 2 supports at the front of each iron platform and snipped them off to size, and then made a rough frame underneath the platform so it looked, like it was holding this thing up. Very basic frame and very rickety. But we don't need any more for this. This is an abandoned dock. This is not going to be maintained. Maybe it was better back in the day, or maybe it was a little pirate dock that was, cobbled together by non-professional builders. Let's go with that. I also made some stairs at the back out of these black iron rods, like they'd just been hammered into the rock face itself, to be a little rusty staircase for the miniatures to access the top. Once that was done, I applied some fire. I applied this to the corners and the edges to give it a more degraded and rotten feel. This would be an easy way to make it look natural rather than trying to cut out shapes with the scissors that looked naturally degraded, or with a scalpel or something. A little bit of fire, tap away the burnt excess with one of the skewers, and I would have some lovely semi-random shapes in this ironwork. After that, I tried to fit the ship in, but realized I had made a mistake. Once I pushed it in, the back plate on the rock was too far forwards. This is the mistake I was talking about earlier, and it would need trimming because it stopped the ship sliding far enough back to support its own weight properly. So that would need cutting out and reshaping. Easily done though, just a snip with the scissors and then back to the fire just to take away any too straight edges and make it look more like degraded metal again. Once that was done, I applied glue to the sticks and pushed it into the foam. Now those side ones will be handled later and made to look a little bit more invisible than they are now. But the back one is pretty well covered by that platform. Rust Effect by Dirty Down. This is going to be the main paint job of all of the ironwork. I'm going to keep it black, like it's cast iron, like it's old patinaed metalwork, and just give it an absolute slap with all of this Dirty Down rust. Putting it on thick gives you the best options to work with it later, because this could be a reductive technique because it reacts with water. If you apply water to it, it re-reacts and then makes it brighter and gives it different patterns, and you can also use water to remove it. In this case, I'm just sponging on water to give the stuff on there a different texture and bring out some light spots in the rust. This is very satisfying to watch as a time-lapse drying, and even more satisfying when you hit it with a hairdryer. Dries quick with a hairdryer and the effect works exactly the same, so you might as well always hit Dirty Down rust with a hairdryer. I then went back with some more and then sponged it over to create more of a dark texture where I felt bits were getting a little too light after I'd put the water on, and also if you could see any brush marks left from the original paint job. I also did this all over the ship's ironwork as well to make it all match. The ship and the platform have been abandoned for the same amount of time and no work or maintenance has been done, so they are both as rusty as each other. But you could still see the red paint job on the lower half of the ship through all the rust I applied. Next step is going to be painting these rags. This is the only slightly proper, in air quotes, mini painting I'll be doing, and I'll be using the wolf bristle brushes for this. Luckily, they had a massive size 7 brush, which was perfect for laying down the paint on these rags. This is genuinely a really good brush set. They seem really hardy, and I'll be using them more in the future. And so will the winner of this competition. You know, if they choose those ones, there's like 3 different brush sets that they could choose from. When that was done, all I need to do after that was dry brush it with some Sylvaneth bark, but while it was drying, I decided to add some free materials from out the back of my house, some dried moss and some sticks to hide those little pegs that are holding it to the rock face, making it look more like a floating ship, and also adding some well-needed nature to this very barren rock. It's so easy to attach stuff to this foam. All you have to do is put a little bit of super glue on the end of it and push it into it. I am concerned about the hardiness of this, but I think the people I play with at my home on my own table are, you know, not the general public who will just batter terrain in, you know, like your local shop. Also, some baked dirt from my garden, the freest material you can get. I then PVA glued on any upward pointing flat surface to make it look like dirt had collected there over the years, and even overlapped it with the iron plates that made up the dock to make it look like the dirt had built up on them too, and blend it together as one piece, as they kind of stuck out at the moment and didn't look like they were one piece with the rocks. This would make them blend a little bit better. And of course, I couldn't forget the cave at the back there and the bottom under the boat. Some dirt was needed too there, and once I was done with that, I put the rest back under my pillow for the dirt man. Then I tore apart this moss. This moss was quite long and frondy, which didn't look best at the scale that I'm trying to make this. So what tearing it up did was allow me to work with smaller pieces. I poked a hole with a skewer, dabbed some glue in there, and then just kind of filled it with fronds, pointing as upwards as I could get them, until it looked like a plant had grown from underneath this metal plate. The tweezers gave me a bit of issues, so sometimes I just use a stick to poke them in. If you're ever in doubt, just use a stick. That's the true bloke way. Just poke it with a stick and it'll work. I did this all over the rock, not just in this area, to add a nice little bit of greenery to it. So thank you to my Patreons. They are on screen now. I've recently gone part-time, and them, you know, sending me monthly money because they appreciate my content really helps feed me and my family at the moment. So if you'd like to join them, the link is in the top corner now, and it is from as little as £3 a month, and it really helps support the channel. So if you appreciate my content, please consider joining that. I will stop begging now like a bum in the street and let you enjoy the reveals. If you didn't want to join the Patreon and just send me money because you appreciate the content and wanted something a little more for the money, then also check out the merch shop as well, which is where the terrain, the winner of this competition, will be getting is from. And also, I'm selling NFTs. That's nice freaking t-shirts with some lovely little embroidered designs. So go and check them out. And also, thank you to Chronicle Cards for the wolf bristle brushes or whatever set that the winner of this competition chooses. Now, competition time, baby! Top 3 appear in the video, and the rest will be showcased in the Discord over the next coming days. Lots of people have been posting their work in progress on the Discord as well, so if you want to see how they made these and what it's made out of, go and check that out. In 3rd place is Aspiring Poltergeist with this Orc Tanky Fortress thingamajig. This is a scratch build, and it looks pretty good. You can bet that my Patreons will vote for something that is orky. Orcs seem to always get in the top 3, so if you're thinking about a future competition, maybe think orcs. This is a lovely scratch build, and it could be used as terrain, or it could be used as a massive looted vehicle in a game. Multiple uses for this beautiful thing. Well done, Aspiring Poltergeist. Next, in 2nd place, is Contagion 42 with this little farm scene. That is an upturned Yakult bottle, if I'm not mistaken. And also, this is very nice and well done, and there's a lot of time and care being taken over it. But there's something suspicious about this. Why do the chickens need that much electricity? What's going on there, you sneaky little cluckers? But yeah, lovely entry, really well done. Thank you for joining in. And now for the winner. The winner is X1 with this industrial build. This little building is made out of spare plastic bits and bobs. The graffiti looks lovely on there. This is a really nice scratch build. This is the kind of thing I had in my head when I was pitching this that people would make, and they've pulled it off perfectly. So these were all submitted through the Discord, and I'll be announcing the next competition over the next couple of days. Thank you, X1. You have won this one, so make sure you have a look at the Chronicle Cards website to choose which brush pack you want, and let me know what £100 worth of terrain or laser cut merch you would like from the Lizard of Doom store. Onto the creator category. Now, usually there's more of us here for this, so I put out a video asking who wants to be in it, really. Any creators reach out to me. I had 4 creators reach out to me, and then 3 of them dropped. One got in straight away. I'm not going to name names, but one got in straight as that video was launched and then ghosted me. One dropped out a couple of days before deadline, and one dropped out a few days after the deadline had passed. So that's a little bit frustrating, but we still have one left, and that is MTG Bella. She has made this lovely arena bunker. I think she says bunker in the little video she's made for it, but it reminds me of where the Millennium Falcon lands. This is a really simple build. It's just a piece of styrofoam that you've painted up, and it looks great. I would love to have a little duel in the middle with some Warhammer figures. If there was like an epic fight between 2 characters, this could be a good little arena for it. Everyone go and check out her video for being the only person to stick with me through this project. And also for that, I also concede, and you get the win. Congratulations, Bella. So thank you for watching, everyone. The next competition will be announced shortly, and it is a doozy, so be prepared for that one. I will need as many people's help as possible. This will probably be announced in the next couple of days. I'll put a little video out on here, and I'll post it in the Discord as well. If you would like to vote on the next one, join the Patreon. Thank you all for watching. Remember to leave a little comment, help me with the algorithm, and a little like if you would, please. Thank you very much, kind gentlemen, sir, madame. That was probably an audio hellscape, but okay, right. I'll see you next time. Peace.